Hello, dear viewers. We are going to start our new TV program, Discover Turkey. In our TV program, we will talk about Turkey, and we are going to introduce Turkey's values and important places, especially historical places. So we hope that you're going to like our program. Discover Turkey is going to be an introductory program for African brothers and sisters. So we kindly request you to watch us, to follow our program on YouTube as well. Turkey is a country in between two continents, Europe and Asia. And unfortunately, because of the Camel cigarette, and the Camel cigarette has got writing, Turkish-American blend cigarette tobacco company long time ago used that logo, and many people in the world, they thought that Turkey is covered by deserts, but that's completely wrong. Our country is a rich country. A lot of migrations, a lot of civilizations came to Turkey, and they brought their own values inside. For instance, Celts, they migrated from Central Europe to Central Turkey. And also the last page of Bible, you can see Galatians. St. Paul has written a letter for Galatians as well. But most of the people in the world, they don't know where the Galatia is and who are the Galatians. So in our program, we will talk and detail the information about Turkey. The capital of Turkey is Ankara, and the name of Ankara comes from Galatians. It's a Celtic word. It was Ancira a long time ago, and it became the capital of Anatolia a long time ago, also Galatians. By Russell de Belluval. He came to Turkey a long time ago, and he made capital first time. After many years, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the father of Turkey, declared Ankara as a capital of the new modern Turkey. It was Istanbul during the time of Ottoman Empire. And as you see, the map next to me, will you please show the map on my left side? You can see historical places on the map. Istanbul, we will also start introducing Turkey from Istanbul, and we will talk about the historical places in Ankara as well, in Izmir city. And the population of Turkey is about 75 million people, nearly. And a lot of Turks in Turkey, they migrated to Germany as well. And today in Germany, there are almost 5 million Turks are living. And some of them got their German citizenship, and not only in Germany, but also in Holland, Belgium, France, in many other European countries. There are many Turks. Of course, they learned the languages in Europe, and in fact, Turkish language is a Turkic language, which is very close to Kazakh language, Azerbaijan, Uzbek, and Kyrgyz language as well. Not only the Central Asian countries, but also Hungarian language is in the same group with Turkish language. But it is also interesting that the Turkish has got relation with Japanese, Korean, and Inuit languages in North America. there are many similar words inside of Turkish and Inuit language in Alaska and in Canada as well. And Turks normally migrated from Central Asia to Anatolia. Before Turks, there were many other civilizations such as Celts, Greeks, Persians, Arabs, and also some ancient civilizations such as Hittites. Hittites, you can see here in the center of Turkey, they established a wonderful empire, and in the empire they built the first water dam in Anatolia. There are a lot of first establishing the first dam, water dam, first church, many firsts we can see in Turkey. And we will talk also the one of these, St. Paul. In the Christian world, St. Paul is a very famous person. He's a very famous personality, but not many people know that he lived in Turkey, and he was from Tarsus city in the south of Turkey. Today it is Mersin city at the moment. And Antakya is one of the great centers in the mid-age. It was the biggest city of the Roman Empire. There were 250,000 people long time ago. And that is why first Christians migrated from Palestine, and they built their church. The St. Peter and his followers, they built the first church in Antakya. Today it's called as Hatay as well. The name of Hatay comes from a tribe in the Central Asia. In the west part of Turkey, we can see also some important places for Catholic Christian world. San Marta Maria, the Mary's Church. St. Mary's Church also is in Ephesus, and St. Paul has written a letter for the Ephesus people, and many people in Anatolia converted to Christianity after these letters. And Philadelphia name is in the west part of Turkey near Izmir city, which was Semirlan long time ago, mentioned also in Bible, and also today the Philadelphia in United States takes its name from the Philadelphia in the west part of Turkey, the town, ancient city, let's say, and the very long road from Sardes, the west part of Turkey, till Persepolis, the King Road, we can call is the ancient highway those days, because the longest modern way between Anatolia and Persia. And today Turkey is protecting these values, these churches. For example, the first church of Christianity in Antakya. And Turkey has got 7 regions. Black Sea coast, as you can see on the map, the pink area, and also Marmara area, you can see on the left part of at the top on the left of the map, you can see just like and the Marmara Sea looks like a bull. Istanbul is at the top of the horn, golden horn is also is called as golden horn, and it was not Istanbul long time ago. It was Byzantion they were calling, and also Constantinopolis, because the city was re-established by Emperor Constantine, and that is why the name comes from as Constantinopolis. Polis means in Greek language city, and the Constantinopolis, the name comes from Emperor Constantine. He's also the first Christian emperor of the Roman Empire. It was called as Eastern Roman. Istanbul name was also Nova Roma, which means New Rome, because it was also established instead of Rome in Italy. And a lot of books gathered in Istanbul library, and from Western countries, from Eastern countries. These books were collected in Istanbul library. Long time it stayed in Istanbul, but when Istanbul was conquered by Fatih Sultan Mehmet, Muhammad II, his teacher Akşemseddin sent all these books to Italy, and Italians, especially Da Vinci, he was a very courageous person. He read all these books, which were sent by Akşemseddin. Then he invented many things. He reproduced all these books, what he read in the Vatican library. Normally it was forbidden to read those books because if those days in mid-age, unfortunately the head of the religious groups and also the Christianity, they thought that if people read more, they're going to be much more dangerous, and they're not going to be controlled very well. And Turkey, when we look at the central Turkey, we can see also very large area and different kind of faunas and floras. In Turkey, the faunas and floras, when we compare with Europe, it is 3 times more than Europe. And that is why this reflected to Turkey's kitchens and kitchen and the food as well. There are different kinds of food in Turkey, especially when you taste very famous Turkish soup, tarhana. It is made by different kinds of spices and different kinds of plants. In the north of Turkey, you can see the farmers are growing kiwi, but in the south of Turkey, the farmers are growing, breeding bananas. It's so interesting. In one country, there are many different kinds of plants. This is also showing that the Turkey's wealth for plants and also for the not only for the plants, also different kinds of animals as well. For instance, there is a special bird in Edessa area, in ancient part, also in Bible, it is called as Edessa. Today we say that city, Urfa or Şanlıurfa. In that area, there is a very rich faunas and floras as well. Turkey started a wonderful project. It's a GAP project. It's a South Eastern Anatolian project, and there is very large farm area in that place, and Turkey is taking a wonderful production of agricultural products. And eastern part of Turkey, when we look, then there is wonderful different kind of landscape as well. The ski centers, it's generally very cold in the winter till minus 40 degrees Celsius. That is why this cold area is feeding Euphrates and the Tigris rivers. And these two rivers are feeding all Middle Eastern countries, such as Syria, Iraq, and also some others. The Asian part of Turkey, we can see, for instance, the different kind of food, and the landscape is very similar to Italy. South of Turkey is also very similar to Italy. North of Turkey is just like north of Europe. Central Turkey is a little bit dry, but not desert, and looks like Spain. And the northwest of Turkey also very industrialized and rich area, Istanbul, for instance. Today there are 20 million people in Istanbul, and 15 million people are native Turks, and but Turkish citizens, let's say. But other 5 million people are from Syria or Africa, and they are living in Istanbul in peace. And when we look at the forest areas in Turkey, unfortunately, many people in Turkey, in the world, they thought that Turkey is a very dry and a desert country. As you can see in the map, Turkey's area is covered by forest. About 22-23% of the country is covered by wonderful forest areas. Unfortunately, because of the global warming, of course, some forest fires reduced this amount, but nevertheless, still we have rich forest areas. When we look at the Turkey's rain areas, the north part of Turkey is taking heavy rains in the winter time, especially. Nearly 10 months of the year, Trabzon city on the Black Sea coast and Samsun and those areas are very green just because of 10 months of the period, raining period. And nearly, for instance, Rize city takes about 11 meters of rain per year. That's very high. And Turkey is producing tea in that area. And some people from other countries are coming also working that place, such as Azerbaijan or Georgia. And Turkey is the successor of Ottoman Empire. And Ottoman Empire was in 3 continents long time ago and lived about 700 years. After Ottoman Empire, Turkey was declared by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. He was Ottoman officer, but when Turkey was invaded by Britain, France, Greece, and some other Western European countries, he started independence war against these countries, and successfully he governed Turkish armies. And finally, Turkey won the independence war, and Mustafa Kemal Atatürk read the age very well and changed the Turkish alphabet. It was Arabic alphabet long time ago, but it is Latin alphabet at the moment, and the Turks are writing with the Latin alphabet much more easily. And Central Asian Turkic nations such as Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, these countries started using Latin alphabet as well. If Atatürk hadn't changed the Turkish alphabet long time ago, Turkey had to change its alphabet really today. And this was going to be much more difficult for us. And he could see the future, and that is why he changed the Turkish alphabet many years ago. And Mustafa Kemal Atatürk gave electing rights to elect and also to be elected. The Turkish woman is the first woman who has rights for elections. And this was also another biggest vision of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk in Turkey. Even many countries in Europe started giving rights for votes for women after Turkey. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk had good relations as well with, not only with, after independence war, not only with Western countries such as United States, UK or other European countries, but also Eastern countries such as China and Russia, Soviet Union those days. And Mustafa Kemal Atatürk had great policies for peace. He has a great speech, peace at home, peace in the world, he says. And he focused peace because our country was very tired of fights in the World War, First World War, and also Independence War, Balkan wars those days. These even in Istanbul in the 1920s, unfortunately, there were no men to work in the factories. Only women were working, really. Turkey's demographic situation was broken because of the wars. There were no men those days. But after many years, it has got balance at the moment. It is 50% men, 50% women at the moment. Atatürk means, in English language, the father of Turk. And it's called as also father of modern Turkey. And he was born normally in Saloniki in Greece. And those days, Saloniki, a northern part of Greece, was in Ottoman Empire. But after the Balkan War, that area stayed in Greece. Istanbul is a very important part of Turkey, not only for Turkey, for also Europe, because it is a door of Europe opening to Asia. And today, many people from eastern part of the world and also the western part of the world come in and staying there. Even today, hundreds of the Georgians, Armenians, Azerbaijani people, and their Azeri Turks, they're living in Istanbul in peace. Also, some Afghans are coming. Istanbul has got today 3 bridges, and these are connecting 2 continents. And the last one was Yavuz Sultan Selim Bridge. The name comes from one of the Ottoman Sultan, Yavuz Sultan Selim. And Turkey also made a wonderful tunnel in between 2 continents. It's Avrasya Tüneli. In English, we call as Eurasian Tunnel. Why Istanbul is very important? Because Istanbul has got Saint Sophia as well. And Istanbul recognized Christianity first time in Roman as a capital, Roman capital. And Saint Sophia is the Mecca of Orthodox Christians today. It was a church. Fatih Sultan Mehmet, Muhammad II, changed the church into mosque. And a long time it was a mosque, but about 90 years ago, it turned to museum today, and people are coming and visiting Saint Sophia Museum freely. Ottoman mosques mostly copied Saint Sophia. During the time of Selçuk Empire, the first migrants from Central Asia, they didn't have such architectural style in Turkey, but Ottoman Empire copied Byzantine churches such as St. Sophia. There is also important center in Istanbul, that is Fener Church. It is the center of many Orthodox countries such as Ukraine and the Orthodoxes in the North America as well. And another important building in Turkey is, in Istanbul is, that is Demirci Church. It was built by Ottoman Sultan Abdülhamit II. This church, after building this church, the relations between Bulgaria and Ottoman Empire became wonderful, perfect really. And because Bulgarians, when they saw their church in Haliç, which is called as Golden Horn as well, they like it very much, and also they had a soul tie to Turkey. And today this church restored and opened again. Demirci Church was opened by Turkish President Mr. President Erdogan. He opened, and this is staying in Turkey as a tolerance of Turkish Republic. Another important building is in Istanbul is famous Blue Mosque. Blue Mosque is called as Blue Mosque because of the inside. The mosque china on the walls of Blue Mosque are glittering, are shining as blue. That is why this mosque was called as Blue Mosque. As you can see, Fener Church, the center of Orthodox Christians, today is playing very important role for peace as well. Istanbul today has got modern buildings, skyscrapers, and is waiting for the visits of the people. When we come back to Turkey's map, Turkey has got two important places. One of them is Thrace, the European part of Turkey. It's about 3–4% of the country, but very crowded area. And nearly 30% of the population are living in this area, the European part of Turkey. And when we look at the Asian part, which is called as Anatolia, it is in Greek language means where the sun rises up. And in Turkish language, the Turks called this peninsula as Anadolu, which means there are a lot of mothers. Anatolia has got some important sentence as Konya, for instance. Konya name comes from Ikonia, normally, because those days, during the time of Byzantine Empire, Eastern Roman Empire, they were making icons there, and that is why the city's name comes from Konya. And there is important personality in Konya, that is Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi. He is called as Rumi in the Western countries. His teachings are on the basis of love. He has a very famous word: "Come, whoever you are. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you're from." So he opened the mentality, heart to everyone in the world. Of course, this is the basis of the peace, really. And he started saying this many years ago. And also, the first university of the world was built in Edessa, in Urfa city. The name of Edessa also inspired the Edessa in Greece and Odessa in Ukraine. In that university, there was a wonderful telescope watching the planets, and they were following the planets and taking notes for astronomy and astrology as well. Of course, the astrology those days was not fortune telling. It was a science, and the Muslim scientists also followed astronomy and astrology together. There is also a wonderful city in southeast of Turkey, which is called as Zoykma. In Gaziantep today, you can see a wonderful mosaics, which are going to surprise you, really. For instance, Zeus is trying to take Europe. Her name is Europe. There is a very beautiful woman, and in the Greek mythology, he's taking the shape of bull and trying to deceive Europe. It is Europa in mythology, and the very big mosaic of representing this incident is waiting for you, really. And there is also Mars statue in the museum, Zoykman Museum, is waiting for you. When we go up a little bit northern part of Turkey, you can see Sümele Monastery. It was built by Greeks a long time ago, and today it's at the top of the mountains, and many people from the world, they are visiting this monastery. And when we look at the ethnicity of Turkey, we can see some Laz people in the north part of Turkey, and the south part of Turkey is mostly covered by Arabic-speaking people. Arab brothers are speaking Arab in Hatay, Antakya, Mardin areas as well. This is bringing a wonderful different kind of, just like a garden full of flowers. Each flower has got its own smell. And also, when we look at the western part of Turkey, is mostly the culture is very similar to Greeks as well, and the music, we have very similar music and the rhythms with the Greeks. And when we look at the eastern part of Turkey, we can see Georgian culture as well, near Artvin city and Kars a little bit, and also Hopa as well. There are many Georgian-speaking people in Turkey, and Azeri, and all these people, they are calling themselves as Turk. And the being Turk comes from heart, not from blood. And everyone who feels himself as Turk, he or she is Turk. And the Mustafa Kemal Atatürk says, "Ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene." He says, "How pride to say that I am a Turk." And when you come and visit Turkey, there is a wonderful area, Cappadocia. Cappadocia is going to surprise you very much, because there are wonderful caves. And the first Christians, they were tortured and killed by the Caesar And the first Christians, they were looking for places to hide the violence of Caesar, really. And that is why they were using these caves. Also, they made wonderful, beautiful caves in Cappadocia. It's also called, as in Turkish language, peri bacaları, which means chimneys of genies. Has got different meaning. And when you visit that area, you will see a lot of churches and the wonderful artistic wall ornaments, really. A great place to visit, Cappadocia. And when we look at the north part of Turkey, you will see a very green forested area. Today, some Arab brothers from Middle East, they are coming, visiting that area. They like it very much. Yes, that's all for today, and hopefully we're going to see each other again, inshallah. In our next episode, we will talk about Istanbul and its values very detailedly. Stay with us. See you later.